we will be talking to Karen Robinson, one of my Toastmasters friends, and we're going to talk all about her chapter about travel. Karen, why don't you just tell everybody what your chapter was about? Because some people may have read the book already, and some people may haven't even read it yet. And you're going to give them a little bit of a taste of what your chapter is about and make them want to go out and buy the book.
That's right. They're not going to get all the answers from me. Right. No. No. My little tease about my chapter is I was a kiddo that grew up in poverty and travel was just not in the budget. And so I was always just wanting to escape and hop in the car with anyone to go anywhere at any time. And so it tells my story of how I stumbled upon travel and how it's been healing through over the course of my lifespan once I went on my first plane ride at 19 years old and how it helped heal my traumas.
Would you feel comfortable talking about some of these traumas to see if maybe some people can relate to what you're talking about?
So in my childhood home, my father was abusive to mostly my mother and I. You could also say my brother in the respect of neglect. He wasn't a provider. He didn't want to buy food and take care of us. So my mom tried the best she could with her limited means of doing so. But he was mostly emotional abusive. He was physically abusive to me, and he was sexually inappropriate with me. So complex childhood trauma. And then I ended up having a suicide attempt because of that. That was unsuccessful. I ran away from home later. And even though I don't recommend running away from home per se, it was a good decision in my case. I ended up having my aunt and uncle be guardians, which means moving from Canada to the United States. And I flourished in their home. But as a teenager, I was also stalked. And I have another anthology that just came out right after Seek the Heart. And it talks about how I was stalked and what got me through that. And then I had some unhealthy marriages before my current marriage, where there was power and control issues. There was some emotional abuse. There was threats of violence. I was not hit by either of my exes, but it certainly seemed like they wanted to at times, and took a lot of self-control on their part for not doing so, it seemed. And I'm like, I need to be with somebody that doesn't want to hit me when they're angry. So I did heal that part as well. So that's just some of it. I also, like you, Francine, or not like you, I should say, I did work for the Department of Defense, but not as a service member. I was a federal employee. But during the time working for the Department of Defense, I filed 21, actually 22 EEO complaints against a colonel for sexual harassment before it went away and went congressional. It didn't go away. It went congressional and then went away. Yeah.
From my own experience, my traumas never healed until I really thought about what caused them, that maybe it wasn't all the other person's fault, that I had something to do with that. And you kind of hit on that a little bit with your first relationships where you took a look at yourself and you said, maybe I should find someone who doesn't want to hit me. And
Yeah.
can you talk a little bit about that for the people who are going through it now and let them know that until they face the fact that they are part of the problem, they're never going to find the solution?
Yes and no. I do want to have a disclaimer that children are never responsible for the abuse that happens to them, ever. I feel strongly about that. So sometimes the message of where is my part in the story, we want to have that little caveat. And yes, I was a victim at one point. The solution comes when it means I don't have to choose to be a victim anymore. And when we choose not to be a victim anymore, what decisions are we making to ensure that doesn't happen? Right. So it's looking at the patterns, looking at are attracted to. Why are we attracted to them? Are we attracted to people that make us feel like crap? And if so, why is that is? And why is that? And it's usually because of the childhood wounding. So when I was able to look at my wounding and what it meant to stop that patterning, I did have to look at my actions, right? And my patterning and what I need to be accountable for. So I hope that answers your question.
Perfectly. You answered it way better than I asked it because I was speaking to my own personal my personal life, that the wounding I got as a child, although my father wasn't physically abusive, there were other forms of abuse, like financial abuse and attention abuse, in a manner of speaking. So when I grew up and I started looking for relationships, I was seeking the same type of relationship that I had with my father because I needed to resolve that. And until I looked at it as I am seeking that, I couldn't heal it because I kept seeking the same type. It was abuse in every situation, although the abuse got less severe each time because I was healing parts of it. Does that make sense to you as that? Does that make sense to you as the expert?
Absolutely. Totally. Yes. And there are people that believe we pick even our abusive parents because of past life stuff. And I'm still learning about that and grappling with it. But I just want to make sure the message is if you're a child that was hurt in any kind of way, that is not your fault. Right.
Yes, absolutely true. Not your fault. And you work with some people who receive trauma during war and other serious issues, post-traumatic stress disorder. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do for people in these situations?
Yes. So I do work, I have most of my clientele actually are veterans and a few active duty, even though I no longer work with Department of Defense. They kept searching for me and finding me. I was trying to niche with women only, but my males have found me, and I really do enjoy working with them. So what I like to say is I work with women with military sexual trauma and other traumas, and I also work with a few good men. Is kind of what I like to say. And almost all of my veterans have both childhood abuse issues and combat related issues. And so we call that complex trauma when it spans the lifespan like that. And the therapy I do for post-traumatic stress is I do not faithfully follow a therapeutic model because I feel that's wrong. And the reason I feel that's wrong is because it's a cookie cutter approach to people, and people are very complex. So I have been trained and certified in all of the evidence-based trauma modalities, and I like take pieces of them and try them with the different people I work with and see what fits them, what they can tolerate. And I also enjoy doing what's called a top-down and bottom-up approach. And what that means, the top-down is the therapeutic intervention. So let's say that's CPT, cognitive processing therapy. I really enjoy that therapy because there's a lot of writing. And with writing, there's exposure. And with exposure, you're bringing down the emotional intensity. So I enjoy that modality. But if I see my clients getting flooded or dysregulated, then I'm doing what's called a bottom-up approach, where we're using soothing self-care practices so they're more regulated again. And that could be somatic movement, moving the trauma out of their body, such as shaking it off or doing some stretching or going for a powerful walk. Or it could be that they're doing some dancing, whatever it is to help move the emotion through their body so they can tolerate the treatment. So I tend to go slow and I do a lot of engagement, trust building, and try to make the environment as safe as possible.
That's probably why people seek you out because you don't just jump in and say, this is what you need to do. You build that rapport between you and the person that you're helping. And something that came to mind while you were talking about that is the first book I wrote, the first self-help book I wrote, it sucked. I'll tell you that it sucked. It was boring. It was clinical. It was academic, but it was totally therapeutic and cathartic for me. Have you ever seen somebody who just got really into that writing and that was their main mode of healing?
Absolutely. Yeah. And so how I do CPT, I don't even do it the way I learned it. And so I'm a really bad clinician when people want to do research, and my DOD was sometimes unhappy with me. How I do it is we write about the trauma, we talk about it. We write, we talk. We write and we talk. And then we do an alternative ending, which is more about ART. ART is a DOD approved treatment for PTSD as well. It's an offshoot of EMDR. It's newer than EMDR. It tends to be quicker. And one of the things I really love about it is teaching about alternative endings. When you write alternative endings, you're not changing your memory of the trauma. You're changing to how you wish it had resolved. You have a superhero saving the day. Bessel Vanderker in his book, The Body Keeps the Score, he writes this beautiful scene of the Twin Towers getting hit. This isn't the beautiful part. And then, people jumping out of the towers. And this little boy who witnessed it, his parents sent him to therapy pretty much right away. And so the therapist really didn't know what to do with him. And so what she asked the child to do, she said, draw a picture of what you experienced. And he drew the picture of the towers with the people jumping, but he drew trampolines for them to land on. Now, did this change 9/11? No. But this little boy was coping very well. And so there's something to what do you wish had happened? Can you picture what would have been a good ending? And for him to have that, that was very soothing. And so I do that part of that work too. And now I forgot your question. I kind of went on a tangent about that. I hope that was okay.
Yes, absolutely. Because I love that response. The alternate ending. I think my next book is going to have several alternate endings to demonstrate that.
It's a Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe type of story too, right?
Never heard of that.
C.S. Lewis?
I've never heard of that. Go ahead and explain, please, for someone else who may
Well,
not have.
well, I hope I'm getting it right. There's a chance that I'm not, but there's a series of books where you can pick your adventure. It starts off and then it says if you want this adventure, you go to this chapter. Or if you want this other adventure, it can go to this chapter. Yeah, and so of course, if our trauma's already happened, we can't erase that adventure, for lack of a better word, but we can think about, gosh, and it can be simple too. Like let's say um grandma was almost going to push you down the stairs. Maybe a parent arrives at home at the last minute and intervenes in some way. And yeah, that didn't happen, but maybe that would comfort you that your parent would do that for you. Or maybe that it could be fantasy, it could be a superhero, if it's a child that comes in and saves the day. Like whatever provides comfort. What that does is it brings down the emotional intensity, which is healing, right?
Okay, now let's get back to your chapter. We've talked about all this trauma and how we can start healing from it. Now, tell us how travel healed you.
Yeah, I love this. So when I was little, my grandparents often would come get me and not often, but they would sometimes take me on a road trip. And it was just kind of like a sanctuary away from the drama and the trauma from the home. And my aunt and uncle would do the same thing. They took me to Prince Edward Island once. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I noticed that I valued it and appreciated it so much more than their own kids. And I think there's a couple of reasons. One is I was older than them, so that would make sense. But also they were used to getting their needs met. They were used to being protected. They were used to being kind of loved on and maybe even spoiled, right? And so for me, this was like amazing. And then in high school, the same aunt and uncle took us a trip from Maine. We lived in Maine to New York and got to see the Statue of Liberty. And man, that was something for a 16, 17-year-old to see. Like this, it was remarkable to me. And we did the sites in Washington, D.C., and then we went to Virginia Beach, got to do a few things there. And it was actually my uncle's brother was retiring from the Navy. So our way was to go to this ceremony. We had an adventure along the way. And so it was just very thrilling to me. Now, as an adult, I have used travel as therapy. I noticed when I was living in Japan, and my ex-husband, he left. Now, in his defense, I did tell him to leave. And by him leaving and me telling him were, two different things, right? And he left me and my 3-year-old daughter in Japan. And it was heartbreaking, right? More so for her. I felt like such um, a mother bear wanting to help her feelings. And I didn't know what to do, even as a therapist. So I took time off work and I booked us all through China. We went everywhere in China. We plane hopped every 2 days. We're on a plane and we saw China. And it was just such an incredible time to be in different cultures, to learn about the different religions, to see all the different sites. And it just brought joy to us. And we still have beautiful memories from it. Even now, she was very little, like her memories are mostly from pictures. She remembers a couple of things, but it was such a wonderful time that we just kept doing it. I started working in the adoption field as a little part-time gig, and everywhere the adoptive parents hired me to go to do home studies. This was mostly for expats living out of the United States. I would take my child and we would extend the trip so we could travel. So we went to New Zealand and Australia. Some places she couldn't go, like Myanmar was, it's a dictator country. I was followed most of the time I was there, under guard, that kind of thing. But even so, that was still an adventure that I really much enjoyed. And I just noticed every time I got to go, I just felt like I was healing. Like my soul was being blessed, my mind, my body. The I noticed that when I'm traveling, I move my body more. Like doing therapy can be like a Zoom or even in person. It's like you're sitting so much that it was just so nice to like be able to go for walks and go swimming and snorkeling and doing all these things for your body. So yes, I truly believe that travel is healing mind, body, spirit.
Let's talk about that movement again, because this is the second time you talked about it. You talked about it in your therapy, and now you talked about it with travel. Can you explain how the trauma and stress traps in your body and how movement helps release that?
But, well, I'm going to try, Francine, but some of this physicality of our body, our anatomy is going to be beyond me, honestly. I am studying and working on a certification in somatic movement now, but it's more about the different movements to try to kind of release. And I'm learning so much from it because I know that I use work to distract myself from trauma. I used to use food. And I know you talked about that last week on your talk. I shouldn't say used to use food. I'm in the recovery from food. I've used shopping, but right now it's work that's the heavy thing. And so because of the sitting so much, the somatic movements I'm really enjoying is like the deeper stretches where you're holding your neck and your back in certain positions and just letting it, holding it till it releases. And because I'm always such in a hurry to get shit done, I would hold it for, oh, next, next. It wasn't really doing its work. So I'm really enjoying, like, I say I'm enjoying it. It's also kind of a little triggering because it's forcing me to stop my craziness, to stop being so busy, to stop overdoing doing courses like that. So, okay, so the movement is really important, especially when it's slow and gentle, because survivors tend to be go, 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 go to distract. and we need to learn. Just you mentioned this too with all the degrees in education. I was like, oh my God, she's in my head. Yes. And so we are overdoers. We are overachievers. There's a lot of benefits to being overdoers and overachievers, but what it costs us is our health. We have to look at that. And so movement, there's lots of research and science that movement helps every aspect of our health, mentally, physically, socially, spiritually. And so, yes, I'm not going to be very articulate with explaining how movement per se, but I do know it releases. Well, another thing it helps us with digestion, right? So that walk and that movement helps process your food too. So yeah, I don't have a great answer, but I hope that was something.
No, that was a great answer because you didn't get too technical. You kept it
Okay.
on a level that everybody can understand. And it was funny when I started my whole healing journey, I started with a holistic health coach and a business coach, and they both gave me the same advice: meditate and take a walk at lunchtime. So it wasn't a medical doctor who got me moving, it was a business coach. So, however, it takes you, a therapist, a children's book author, whatever it takes, you're going to hear it in the voice that speaks to you. So, the more times we say it in different ways, the better chance we have of reaching someone who needs to hear it. We were talking about how you're helping veterans. Tell us about how you'll be traveling with the veterans next year.
Oh, I love this question. Yeah, part of my business has shifted a bit to thinking how else I can be helpful. Because when you're doing one-on-one sessions, you're limited on who you can help in a week. So something I've started to do is offering summits, and next year I'm offering four of those, different themes on trauma healing each time. And then now I am offering retreats. So my first retreat is this year in Virginia. It is sold out, I'm proud to say, and it's for women only. The next retreat is going to be in Italy, in Tuscany. It is for couples. It's couples that want to grow stronger as a unit. And the focus is on family intervention work. I'm working on certification in this area as well. I'm almost done. And in this area, um, the focus is on how to play together, how to communicate more effectively, how to be each other's best friend. And so I thought, when I looked at the curriculum, I'm like, this would be perfect on a retreat. Now, this retreat is not necessarily endorsed by the company I'm being trained in, right? It's something I'm doing on my own. And it's also something I'm adapting to work with because I've had lots and lots of training over the years on couples counseling. So I'm just using some bits and pieces of things I've learned. And what's beautiful about this retreat is not all just learning. It's experiential. It's also, we're going to do tours in the area. We're going to go on picnics. Um, we are looking for couples that are not just straight. So we're looking for gay couples as well. It's very inclusive. And the couple that we're renting the bed and breakfast from, they're a gay couple. One of them is a dance instructor, so we're going to get ballroom dance lessons. The other one is a chef, so we're going to get an Italian cooking lesson on top of everything else we're doing. And so the people I've told so far about it have been so excited. We only have space for four more couples. So if this sounds exciting to you or healing, let us know. And I do promise that we will offer more of these retreats. And I'm also offering a women's retreat on the coast of Oregon next year for women that want to do some healing, but it will be women only because sometimes women feel a little safer when it's just their gender. And it could be women recovering from military sexual assault or child abuse, or maybe they had some domestic violence in a relationship, or just anything they want to heal from. So that's what we have coming.
That sounds exciting. And now, Wanda, do you have any questions?
I don't really have any. I'm just enjoying listening and I don't know, my brother says to me, "Oh, you got to stop this because I tend to focus on healing, but I want to feel better. I want to have wholeness. So it's work and and kindness to ourselves, right? On the journey. So, and I just like being a part of this because I feel like I'm not alone. And I think there's so many people that it makes me feel better. There's so many people that are wounded that aren't doing this. So not to judge, but just to be a part of this, it's helpful, to listen to these sessions, seek the heart.
Thank you
I think
so
it's
much.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, thank
Karen,
you.
I would like to know what your thoughts are on what her brother said, that she needs to stop.
Yeah, I had thoughts and questions a lot. So I think I will just say that his desire for you to stop has everything to do with him and nothing to do with you. So for some reason, he doesn't feel safe or ready to do his own healing from whatever has happened in his own life. Yeah. And Wanda, I also want you to think about maybe joining us on the Oregon retreat. I don't have a link yet. I'm putting my email in the chat and I'll say it out loud for listeners. It's healthrivedream@gmail.com. And I know one reason why people maybe don't travel, and that's because it's not cheap, right? And so one of the
Yeah.
things that's special about our retreats is we do payment plans. And the sooner you start a payment plan, the less you're paying every month. And that's how I go on retreats. I don't have a few thousand laying around like, oh, let me go do a retreat. First of all, we do price them as affordably as we can, and also the payment plans. And I am committed to going on retreats myself, and I pick working with providers that allow me to do a payment plan. Okay. So that's just something else I wanted to add.
Thank you. And now you put your email address in the chat, but the people who are going to be seeing this on YouTube can't see that. So how
Mhm.
could people watching this contact you, and how could they get to hear more from Karen?
Sure. Well, I also have a podcast and a YouTube channel, and my company name is Heal Thrive Dream. So the podcast link is Heal Thrive Dream podcast.com/abuse, because a lot of my clients have been abused. And my YouTube channel is the tagline is at trauma recovery expert. Website is healthrivedream.com. And my email again is healthrivedream@gmail.com.
And I'll be putting that in the video description for anybody who wants more from Karen. Karen, are there any final words you want to say before we sign off?
Yeah, I have one more thing. Every month in my community, when I say my community, I mean the world, because I'm a global citizen. I offer a free healing intensive every single month that there's not a summit. And so for the month of June, the healing intensive is about self-sabotage. So anyone that would like to attend that is welcome to, is completely free. Never have to pay to join anything of mine. I do make an invitation, but I'm not a pushy salesperson because that doesn't align with me. Whoever it feels like it would help and can come, then that's what works. And Francine, I can give you that link for the show notes if you'd like.
Yes,
That'd be
please.
great.
We'll get that in the chat too. Wanda, do you have a final question for Karen?
Yeah, Karen, I'm just wanting to know how you came about um, building the podcast. Like, how did you do that? Do you have like a business background too, or did you have a business coach like Francine?
I've
Um,
had many business coaches and thousands of dollars. Now I have a business coach who's a female who's heart-centered, and she works with women on a mission to make changes in the world. I'm happy to connect her with her if you'd like. Her name is Katarina Rando. She's out of San
sure.
Francisco. She's
Yes.
amazing and she practices what she preaches, so she aligns well with me. I am an affiliate of hers too for her program. She helps people with their speaking. She helps with sales. She does has a Thriving at Sales program. There's a lot of things that she's helped me with. I'm still not as salesy as she would like me to be because service is through sales. I just have to have my own way, right? And my own way is not to be pushy, or to
Right.
harass people. I just don't, it doesn't feel good to me. It's invitation
Right.
only. Yeah.
Yes,
Right. Nice.
the
Yeah.
people who harass me are ghosted.
Yes. That's my way too, Francine. If you're watching today, maybe the replay, please know if you're a survivor of any type of trauma, healing is more than possible. Just have to have a mustard seed of faith. Consider all the options. There are thousands of different healing modalities. Don't limit yourself. Try many of them. And if I can be of service, please let me know. I offer a free event each month. This month, the topic is healing self-sabotage. You are more than welcome to come and be my free guest. Thank you.